Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to ALPOUGH, where we're an adult of our spirit, an adult of our mind, an adult of our thought, an adult of our emotions, an adult of our actions, an adult of our love, and I send it out to you. Well, happy Friday. Hope everything's going good for you today. Today is the last day of the week. We're very excited as this is our 199th show. And we will be starting our 200th on Monday. And I'm very excited on some of the changes that we're going to be doing next week, starting on Monday. And I really wish you well. I have a lot of new subscribers, followers on Instagram and everything. So I want to welcome a lot of you in here. Also, my YouTube people. We're growing our channel every day. And so today, again, girls date bad boys, women date men. I want to talk about dating and relationship, which is one of the things that we really want to talk about on how to have better relationships. And that is by becoming more adult. A lot of us, including myself, you don't want to grow up. It's hard to grow up. I know I had to. I want to tell you a story concerning about this. When in my younger years, of course, I'm married. I've been married for 5 years, and my first marriage, by the way. So, I ended up meeting a lot of lady friends that I've known in the past, and sometimes I'll talk to them. One actually became a therapist, PhD therapist, and I talked to her a number of years ago after Michael Jackson died, because I took her to Michael Jackson twice. And, I told her just called her and said, we just mourned Michael Jackson. And she told me, I use you in my therapy every day. I'm like, what? She goes, yes, I use you in my therapy every day. I'm like, how do you do that? She says, well, mostly I counsel women. Really? Yes. And so you're the example of a bad boy. You were my bad boy back in the day. And I'm like, bad boy? Wow. I'd never quite heard it like that. Right? I mean, here I was. I thought I was a good guy. Turns out I was a bad boy. So I know what that feeling is about, whatever that means, about being a bad boy. So I've been looking and seeing, again, I'm the one who looks out and studies everything as much as I possibly can on what's going on. And one of the things that's really going on is people are not finding quality relationships. And I have a lot of single friends, a lot of single women friends. And, a lot of them are telling me it's just extremely difficult to meet people. And so now, before all this, everyone gets pigeonholed into something. But again, I think there's a whole new thing that's been going on, and that is about girls. And I do believe that, girls are turning into bad boys. Okay? Because of the way the world is now, it's like everybody's just meshing. You don't know what's masculine or feminine. Or what are those roles? And even in yesterday, I was talking about men. You've got a friend. To understand oneself. This is really what it's about, not understanding oneself. So I talked to some of my lady friends, and I really wanted to ask them some questions. And I really think that I really got to get great insight. So I got these qualifications, actually from actual women who have dated many bad boys, so to speak, or as they come in. So what's a bad boy? Huh? I'm like, hey, tell me, what's your definition of a bad boy? All right. Well, bad boys come in all shapes and sizes and all ages. All right. So I'm asking, these are the things of the qualification of if you want to grow up and be a woman, then you need to identify who and what a bad boy is and what you're going to do about it. Okay? But first, let's talk about some of the qualities of a bad boy. Number one is a player. He's a player. That means that's his title. I'm a player and I play. Okay? And that's with women. Number two, treats women like a body. Wow, that was cool. That was really interesting. Okay? So when you're dating a bad boy, you feel like you're a body. That you're not an actual person, but a body. Very interesting title. I thought that was very good. Number three, sex is about dominating and lustful. And in another way, that sex centered around being around a bad boy. So it's about dominating and lustful. And I will leave that to your imagination because we are a G-rated show. So sex seems to be the central part without a doubt. And it is a way of knowing. See, with this particular person, I just wanted to say that they called me a bad boy. I realized I had a line about us back then. I said, we didn't fall in love. We fell in bed. So I want to use that as an example, which I should have put up here. So if you don't fall in love, you fall in bed. So now I actually did get engaged to this woman. So, Anyway, number four, they're not in a relationship with you. Okay? They will say they're not in a relationship with you and they act like it. So they're not, they're the way their actions are, which actions speak louder words, is that they do not consider themselves in a relationship with you. Number five, they feel nothing. They feel nothing for you. Okay? Because they treat women like a body. Right? And so at first that seems really cool because the sex is dominating and lustful. Okay? And then you don't want to make a commitment. So you in your own way, you're saying, well, I'm not in a relationship with you either. Right? There's an old thing here that men be like, I'm finally ready to settle down and be in a relationship. I know sometimes it takes a long time for a man to do this, but I'm just going to say this right now. I think that a lot of women now have not decided they don't want to get married. Okay, even some of them decide I don't want to have any children, but then they start getting over 35, even 40, and then it really hits them kind of really hard on where their life is going. Okay? Then you look back on it and you see they were good men and you didn't want to be with them. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too. So they feel nothing. Number five was they feel nothing. And then number six is you have no title. You have no title at all. All right? And so the person described this pretty good. So you have no title and they treat you like a roommate in public. Right? And how do they do that? Right? So, well, how do you feel about that, how they treat you in public? And it came down to like, well, there's no holding of hands. Right? No holding of hands. And they introduces you as a friend. Okay? So here you are, you just had this you had this dominating sex right before you came out, decided to go to lunch, which I'll leave to your imagination. And then you go out and you're treated like a roommate. and they don't hold your hand, and they introduce you as a friend. Now, there's another type of bad boy. So this is basically there's two kind of types. There's the single bad boy, and then there's the other one. All right. And that's number 8. Bad boy, husband by day. I'm sorry. Good husband. I should have written that different. Husband by day, bad boy at night. So they may be someone who is married and actually maybe happily married, has children, and his wife has no idea who he is. But he's a bad boy at night, and so you might be that affair for that person. And there may be a successful person, rich, wealthy, artistic, popular, celebrity, however it is. Okay? So they're like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And so you falling for these are literally the worst kinds. You will definitely feel the wrath of being in one of these relationships. All right, let's keep going here. Bad boy. We're talking about bad boys. Give me your opinions in the comments. You agree with it or not? You know, if you think I'm wrong, say it. If this is part of your own experience, give me a comment here. It's very important that I know. I'm giving you the information. This is what I got from a woman. All right. Number 9, the life of the partier. So not only are they the life of the party, but they're also a partier, which means they probably abuse drugs, of some kind. All right. So you got to watch them in the end as they go downward spiral. You have to watch it so that you're not caught up in that spiral thing going down, because what goes up must come down. Number 10. They're popular in some way to attract girls. So no matter what, they already have their scam or scheme or rap. Okay? So they already know how to attract girls, and they know how to attract girls. And it makes them more attractive because most women want what they can't have. When you're in this phase of, it might be lifelong, I don't know. But when you're in this place, you have to understand that the reason why you wanted this guy was because he was a bad boy and he attracted girls. And most women want to be around somebody popular. I'm being very general, but again, this is pretty normal for what a bad boy really is. Now, it's a little bit different, but again, when it says life of the party, the drugs out now are devastating. Devastating. And, these drugs can damage people's brain permanently. And I've heard this before. But they attract girls. So if you know that, then why would you want to be with them? But again, women or girls, they want what they can't have. Time to grow up. Number 11, they're mean. They're mean. So if you question them on anything, they're going to snap back into their authority of what they have over you, which is when we were talking about earlier. They're dominating. They're dominating. That's why you're attracted to them, because they're dominating, and they're going to tell you how dominating they are, and it's going to be a take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. And their savoir-faire way of doing things is the way they are, And then we'll put it up in your face. So being mean and even on a sense of abusive is part of what they do. Depending on what? The sex, which I'll leave to your imagination. Now, on the other hand, as mean as they are, is as charismatic as they can be also. Right? Sorry about this. I'm making my adjustments here. So in that charismatic way, so you go from mean to charismatic, and where are you on? Roller coaster. And after all this stuff, after everything, when you've been putting out all this, what you ever call it, and you spend so much time with this person, and they're mean and charismatic, then it comes down to what really is, and they're emotionally unavailable. They're not going to, the things that you're going to see with them is anger, love. Anger, love. Keep you off balance. Right? Either anger or they seem like they're loving. All right? Two-edged sword. All right? And they're emotionally unavailable. And here's another kick. Here's what happens when you see this. When they're mean, they're charismatic, they're emotionally unavailable. What is your thing to do? Well, girls think they can change bad boys. And for them, they want to see if you can change them in their own way. And that's how they sucker you, is thinking that you can change them. And that's kind of how you lose them. Right? It's because once you see with him, he's already wrapped up in the rap, baby. His goal is player. Right? Yeah. Listen, boys, I'm not tripping on it. You are what you are. Okay? I dig it. I'm just saying this. I'm about making everyone aware, and part of this whole channel is spiritual healing. You might want to say it's emotional healing, but it's also, to me, it's spiritual healing. All right? Number 15. So girls want more from some they know they can't have. So here it is. He's dating 3 and 4 girls. And so you want more than what you can actually have. And it comes down to that thing about wanting what you can't have. Wanting what you can't have. Down to number 16 here. Bad boys, they're swimming on the shallow side of the pool. Okay? They're not about going into deep waters. It's get in and get out. So if you're dating a bad boy, you're on the shallow side of the pool. And so if you want to go deep, more than likely it's not going to happen because it leads to the next thing. Two-faced. Bad boys are two-faced. They'll say one thing and they'll do another. They'll do another thing and say another. So that's part of your own acceptance of understanding who a bad boy is. That whatever comes out of his mouth, you're not sure if it's true. So you're always on the defense. and you don't know whether or not they're speaking truth. Whatever comes out of their mouth, you have no idea if they're even talking the truth. So that two-faced thing, it's also another mystery. You see, again, a lot of times women, girls, want what they can't have, and they think that they can change a person. And so in this two-facedness, you're going to see two different sides of the person. And this brings us to the next point, is abusive. So if abusive comes when you start cramping their style, when you don't get exactly who they are and what they're about. And then in their way, they're telling you the truth, right? They're telling you the truth by their actions. Actions speak louder words, right? That's why you have to go. All right, which brings us to the next point. They will keep secrets from you. So you don't even know if they're telling the truth or not. You don't know where they came from when you were with them last. They're not going to tell you. And their creed is, don't ask. Don't ask, because I'm not going to tell you. So don't ask. This one's the most important one, and I know I've been knocking on the bad boys here. Okay? Now remember, I used to be in that club, supposedly. It's hard to admit sometimes. So, but this is the final thing I want to really say. Bad boys are damaged emotionally also now. There's a reason why they turned into that. Because they've been damaged emotionally. They were hurt. They figured out, I'm going to hurt before I get hurt. I'm going to have 3 women in case one drops, I got 2. Because they're not emotionally stable still. Because all of us are CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. We've all had trauma in our lives, and we've all fallen back on what works. What works. Well, don't get emotionally attached. If you don't get emotionally attached, then you don't feel anything. When you don't tell any secrets, then you don't have to answer to anything. And if you're two-faced, well, I can understand that, because that's what you are. And most of the time, it's two different ways, 2 different things, 2 different ways. They're loving or angry. Okay? Loving or angry. That's what you're going to get from them. Okay? Another word for standoffish. Okay? If they're standoffish, they could be angry. Again, we're breaking it down here. All right, so now here we are, ladies. Here we are. Now, I've talked about the men on how to be with the men. I'm going to keep going on this. This is one of the things I want to talk about. Dating. Everybody's dating online. You're meeting strangers. You don't know who they are. But we're left with that. So now when you want a change in your life, ladies, and you're ready to be with a real man, which, sorry, I'm taken. But when you want a change in your life, this is the things that we're going to talk about here in getting yourself to a place of changing. All right? So the first thing I'm going to tell you is it's time to grow up. It's time to be an adult of your mind. And his mother says to stop living by your private parts. I'm being very perfect gentlemanly when I say that. Most of you are living by your private parts. Sorry, it's true. We already know men do. But now it's much, much, much more prevalent because the way the world is changing is they want men to be women and women to be men, to act more manly. Manly in the sense of, well, you know, I could have 10 lovers too. Okay, well, that's cool. But again, it damages you more emotionally and physically. We're going to talk about that, all right? So, I'm going to give you a few characteristics of what a real man is. Okay? What's a real man? Number one is loving. You got to have that. Someone is more loving to you. So this is number one. Number two is trustworthy. Did I say trustworthy came with a bad boy? Nope. Number three, committed. You want a man who's committed to you. Number four, emotionally available. Not afraid to express their feelings. But now I'm going to tell you right now, once you get in this and you start to know both sides, which is what I'm trying to explain to you, to know both sides. Once you can figure that out by listening to my show, that both sides, I take both sides of every issue so that you can make an adult decision. So you want someone who's emotionally available. Someone who's romantic. These are the opposite. Number six, someone with depth. Someone that has some depth, that's not swimming in the shallow end of the pool. They're in the 12 feet. My love is so deep. The deepest part of the ocean is my shallow end. That's where my depth is. Number seven, not afraid to be vulnerable. Because you're a man. A man trusts himself, respects himself, trusts himself. It's self-honesty, so he's not a liar. He wants to be romantic and committed. But now, real men, they smell bad girls too now. And this is why, if you're trying to change, men pick up on it. Real men pick up on it. They know what your past is. And that's what does it make you trustable. Because if you spent all your life, I'm talking to you girls, you spent all your life with bad boys, and all of a sudden now you're going to come to this? So the question is, girls, you want to be a woman? Here's your question. How do you get from the opposite type? How do you get yourself ready for a real man? Because beforehand, I can just say this to you. Beforehand, all these things, loving, trustworthy, committed, emotionally available, romantic, depth, not afraid to be vulnerable, you might have seen that as weak, as a nuisance, because you are on the shallow end of the pool. So if you want this, you're going to have to be this. And that means that you're going to have to work on yourself. How do you work on yourself? How do you go from the opposite type? Well, that's part 2. We're going to be talking about this on my new format come Monday, as we change a little bit on how the show is going to be going. And this is what we're going to talk about. How do you go from the opposite type of what you are used to? I've got answers for that. Believe me, my answers, I'm going to be talking to other women and sharing their experience with me, so that I can bring the right answers to you. Let's check out some comments here. Bad boys, ugh. Ugh. The shallow end. So you agree that, yeah, that's where most men playing at. And so it's easy to play in the shallow end, isn't it, Amanda? Levels of love, shallow or deep end. You see, all right, so that's a great point, Amanda, because here's the deal. You know the deal, okay? You can't be in the shallow end and just go all the way to the deep end. You gotta move gradually. You gotta move gradually. You can't go from the shallow end all the way to the deep end all at once. You gotta work your way through it. Work your way to it by what? Working on yourself. So you choose the deep end, if you get it. Right. Right? Right? You can't just get in it. Right? Yeah. Yes, some kids are afraid to go in the deep end of the pool. Why? It's unknown. It's unknown. I was like that when I was growing up. Jumping into the deep end. I had to gradually go into that deep end. Okay? So let's go. We're going to go in there. Here's the part 2. We'll be back here next week, 1:30 Pacific time. Is daylight saving time this weekend? I don't think it is. So the times are going to change again because of daylight saving time. But we're trying to figure out the best way to get to you, to get the message to you. So, ALPOUGH. That's me. Call me, comment. I'm sending Sophia's love and wisdom to you. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. We'll